idea was, so it says quarantine-proof business panel. This doesn't necessarily mean that, people have already figured out all the magical secrets, that quarantine hasn't affected them at all. It's more about talking together about the different challenges that different industries are experiencing, and then finding some common threads and some tips and tools between this group of people that maybe can apply to some of the rest of you that are in attendance today. There's a lot of common challenges, but then there's a lot of challenges unique to specific industries. And I'm just very interested in talking to people who have kind of a diverse range of experience and kind of digging into that and seeing what those experiences have been like. I'm going to go ahead and introduce everyone that we have here, starting with Monisha Phillips. Monisha runs a really awesome gift shop down in Baltimore. It's called Pandora's Box Boutique, and you need to follow her on Instagram immediately because her posts are hilarious and her products have jokes, and it's like a combination of sweet and sass and a little bit of crude, and it always makes me laugh. So definitely follow her on Instagram. We also have Pauline, whose last name is actually Tartaglia, but I've been calling her Brittingham. So we're joking that this is a branding mishap and not actually my fault for not doing my research properly. Pauline is an interior designer, and she's the owner of PRB Interior Designs. This is a business that you think would have to run, like in person, and somehow she's doing it remotely, and it's doing better than ever. So we're going to dig into that. Paul Gaskell is a business owner and coach. He owns On and Up Coaching. So he does a lot of coaching with people, not just in their careers, but also through periods of change, which is pretty timely right now. And then Nick Anderson is a program specialist at KinderCare, and actually, I don't even know if that job's still running or if that's on pause right now. I know our daycares are closed. Okay, so we might have discussions about that, but more, just as importantly, the founder of Mr. Nickles Kids, which is a really entertaining brand for kids. It's funny how people's videos keep popping up. Okay, so these are my panelists. I also extended the invitation to one Gene Milfort, who I think is here, and if he decides to pop on, I'll introduce him as well. But if he doesn't, that's okay too, because it was a very last-minute ask. Let's get started. We're going to go around, and I'm going to have you guys kind of elaborate a little bit more on what your business is and how quarantine and social distancing has affected it. And I think, Monisha, I'm going to have you start.
So, thank you, Jen. So I have a store, a boutique in Baltimore named Pandora's Box. All good things, though, all good things. And so COVID has actually, we've been closed for 2.5 months because of it. But like I said, we are a small boutique in Baltimore, downtown Baltimore in Federal Hill, historic neighborhood. Some who, come to visit us. We're not far from the Inner Harbor, where we see lots of visitors, families on vacation. It's an area where it's definitely walkable, where most people are strolling and walking by. So it is definitely, the neighborhood has been affected, the business has been affected by COVID a lot, and we've been closed. So it's been challenging for those reasons alone.
Okay. We'll go ahead and have Pauline tell us about your business.
Sure. I am an interior designer by trade. And I guess because of COVID, I do a little bit of design and a little bit of decorating now. And that just kind of has gone to me having time to think. Jen probably knows this story really well. I used to shove down people's throats the idea that I wanted people to know the difference between a designer and a decorator. And because of COVID, it's really given me a chance to connect with people in their understanding of where we are as an industry, and how we are going to move forward. So the design industry has been coming together more than ever now because so many people have been siloed. So it's actually really interesting to see.
Okay. And Paul?
Sure. I think you did a really great job of introducing me, so thank you. So I describe myself as an executive coach. I typically work with professionals who are trying to do something different. Let's kind of leave it there. And during the lockdown at the beginning, coaching lends itself very well to sitting on Zoom all day. So from a sort of a technology perspective, was in good shape. I had a lot of people at the beginning, though, that seemed very stuck and kind of on pause. And what seemed interesting, perhaps over the last month, is that clients have started to come back and new clients have started to identify themselves. And I think that Gabby's here, isn't she? I hope she doesn't hate me for this, but people I feel are seeing an opportunity to, if not redefine themselves, then certainly kind of understand how they lead, particularly lead in a virtual world where they don't get to kind of interact with people other than on this kind of media. So that's me.
I was gonna say I already have questions, but I will save them. Okay, Nick, tell us about both of your careers.
Okay, so yeah, it's the program specialist kinder care. I had started that about a year ago. I've been actually building my own brand for a number of years and then just like struggling to get it off the ground kind of thing. And then I was like, I need something that like builds my skills, but also like pays the bills. I didn't expect to rhyme. But that was really good. And then obviously quarantine killed it like instantly, which is fine because now I have a home base of kids. And then it's kind of a dream of mine to have like a daily show. So like putting all of that stuff that I've been working for a number of years, and then putting that into the show. And then so I've been doing that every day. It's like 10:30 Eastern time, Monday through Friday. Started every day, and then I had to like, oh, this is going to be longer than 2 weeks. Okay, so I need a couple of days off. And then so what I'm really been excited for is like I've just really needed an audience. Like I've had kind of an audience. I've struggled. My YouTube channel has doubled in subscribers in the past couple months, which is nuts. And then yeah, like having these families that have already been like my audience per se, but like now they're literally there, and that's been really rewarding.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that leads really well into my next question, which is with the changes that have been forced upon you guys during COVID, like what are some changes that have been for the better, or what changes have you made in response to it to get around like Monisha, we might as well start with you. So you can't run your shop, but you're still selling things, right?
Yes. Well, I enhanced the website, which is really good. And one of the things that I did was I wanted the website to focus on things that customers would use or like now, things that would touch them now, what's going on. Instead of filling the website with products that, they couldn't enjoy, but I put a lot of feel-good things on there because right now the media, if you watch it all day long, it's COVID, COVID, COVID. So I wanted to put a funny spin onto things to make people feel good or feel better, and so that's one of the things that I've done, the website. Actually, I changed up the packaging a little bit. Or I'm sorry, what was the other part? What was the question? Part of the question? I'm so sorry.
I just wanted to hear about changes that you've made. I know you're focusing on the online store, and you've had a lot of great products that like directly relate to COVID, which I think is amazing. That you like, how did you even find them or know where to look for those new products?
Well, funny thing is, a lot of it, I work with other small businesses because that was just my mission to make sure that my duty was to actually reach out to other small independent store owners and come together so we could, as far as decide what products we were going to do together. So it was a lot of collaborations. And part of it was just me watching what's happening in the world right now, and then just putting a positive spin onto it. For instance, I'm sorry, I'm going to grab something really quick. we have quarantine and chill, like this candle. I'm not trying to sell this product, but I just want you to understand. So quarantine and chill, because everybody's at home right now. We're all in the same, we're all at home. Most of us love candles. Why not? It's, once again, it's a feel good thing. We're changing that, this negative virus, into something positive, and why not? And so this makes, I was trying to come up with ways for for us and our customers and just families, everyone, to just have something they can laugh at and enjoy at the same time. And this is, I work with another small business on this project. So it was just a matter of taking what's now, staying real and relevant, and just turn it into something positive.
Very nice. And I love what you said about collaborating with other store owners,
Yes.
which, bringing it back to Pauline, you mentioned that the design community is really coming together. Can you tell us more, I guess, like what that looks like or how that's happening?
Sure. Well, first I'm going to add a quarantine and chill candle to like everything that I give all my clients as a thank you now. So that's awesome. But how we've been coming together a lot, other designers have been reaching out. I do a lot of work with other designers in the first place. So the same thing that Monisha was saying, like I work with a lot of other small businesses and I have skill sets that they don't have technology wise. So that's been really helpful. But like our vendors and our reps have been completely changing the way that they work, delivering stuff to us, creating more virtual stuff for us to be able to share with our customers. And I mean, we're a visual business. So as long as I can see you and you can see me, I can really do my job. And I've noticed that even a lot of my clients are willing to take on doing the work. Probably something similar to like what Kali experiences with people wanting to do their own home growth of vegetables. Like people are really wanting to do their own home renovations now. There's such a vast amount of knowledge for DIY, but it's always conflicting information, or can I trust this resource? And I think when I would come into a person's home before, realizing it now after COVID, I think there was a certain amount of pressure, just me walking in the door. I'm invading your space. It could be a potential, high cost value. And when that all switched and I went virtual, you're in the comfort of your home. I'm in the comfort of my home. You can see I don't have expensive things in my background. I got mugs hanging on racks like everybody else does. Like I want to serve those people who want to do it themselves and live comfortably and live healthy and live right. And I think that was just a way that people felt more comfortable opening up to me. And I've had more repeat clients in the last 8 weeks than I have in like the first 4 months of 2020. So, and it's because people ask me just small questions. And then they're like, oh no, she's really chill. Like you can just ask her a question. And I'm like, I've been telling you that, but like now that it's actually able to happen, it's been very helpful for my business.
Yeah. I have definitely noticed that too, with people getting really comfortable with each other in a way they didn't before. And like these really impersonal videos where, not impersonal, more personal, like, oh, here's my kid, here's my dog, here, I'm going to walk around in my yard because I've been sitting all day, which I'm going to go to Paul now. I know that you were always able to do your coaching calls virtually before, but do you feel like now that people are getting so comfortable with them that it has changed the dynamic for you?
I think so. Yeah. One of the best pieces of evidence I've got is one of the things that I've done in trying to establish kind of a new normal for myself is I do some soccer podcasts, hence the soccer ball in the background. And I looked at the first one we did, which was like week 1, and like well, it depends on what your perspective of my background is now, but this was awful. Like the camera's pointing somewhere up my nose, and the aesthetics look terrible. And by the time we've now got to what I think week 8 we're recording this weekend, I've got a pretty clear idea of what backdrop I want, and so I feel like there's been a process to turn it into like a bad alternative to face-to-face to being like a really good engagement, which it probably wasn't before. I'm learning now because I've seen myself on video. So
Yeah. What about the types of advice that people are seeking? Has that changed a lot?
So it depends. So I've got a couple of clients who are business owners, whose work essentially is kind of hands-on, really hard to turn into a kind of a virtual business. So quite a bit of work with them has been around, helping them think about alternatives, about kind of what they might want to do next. In one case, I don't think the business will survive, but kind of one of the things that I've been trying to do is to kind of give back to people who've given to me in the past. So I'm trying to help them through that. I think other people, as I said at the beginning, are really looking at this now in terms of this could last a while. And if I'm like leading a team or I'm doing something, I need to figure out how to do it well in this space, as opposed to this is a temporary thing and I'll get by until we return to normal, whatever that is.
Right. Nick, so you were talking about, I guess, being more active with what was a side business before because you have more time. I guess when, assuming things get back to some kind of normal or like the regular job opens back up, do you think there are things you'll be able to carry forward or things you'll be able to continue to do differently that you're learning right now?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think, well, like I said, like this show has been, it's nuts because like I was making about a video a month and now I'm technically making like 20 videos every month, like how many weekdays. So I'm like, just like, all of that presentation is going in there, all the skills that come with that. And then like people are asking like, hey, when it goes back to normal, can you do this like on the weekends or something like that? And like, so evenings and weekends, I definitely want to continue going with this particular project, the live stream show.
Just a social media question. Do you feel like there are different times of the day that are better now than usual?
I think so. What I did though was it all depends on where the kid's going. Like a lot of my strategy has been like trying to anticipate the needs of the parents and the kids. And because it's very one directional. So I have to get on my crystal ball and try to figure out what their needs are and then try to meet it then. And so I'm thinking like, okay, well, when is a good circle time? I know from experience that 10:30 is a good time for a lot of different ages, just from various jobs that I've had. So, okay, 10:30 or 9:30 or 10:30. I went with 10:30. And then, and that tends to be a good time for a lot of people. And then I'm also now going to be looking into like what's some afternoon, because I want to do like my live stream show is like it's like a whole routine. It's like we have intro songs and exit songs and stuff like that. I wanted to do like just a marathon of all the different puppet shows that I've been building up. And I think an afternoon will be a good time for that.
Yeah. So I asked this question because I was talking to a couple of the attendees about when to plan a virtual event. And I feel like everyone's schedules are so wonky right now. It makes it really hard to predict, like, oh, usually on Facebook, noon is the best time according to blah, blah, blah statistics. But like anything goes right now. And as a parent with a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, noon is when they're napping. So.
Oh, yeah. You got to plan around nap time. This other thing. So 10:30 is a good time because it's right before lunch for a lot of people. And then in some time zones, it's right after breakfast.
Yeah. But if you're planning an event not for kids, then the opposite of the times that Nick just said.
Yeah. So like between noon and 3 o'clock would be the best time to plan your thing.
Yeah, which is also interesting because I knew our daycare did that. I didn't know how universal that was.
Yeah, it's
interesting. Like California, right? Are you in California or are you?
I'm in Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think in terms of ages, if you guys are curious about ages, like the nap time really depends on the age of the child. Like it's very, very interesting. Like there's some kids that are deviant, but like infants usually nap more between like 11 and 1, and they nap throughout the day kind of thing. So, but like I don't actually know all the different, but if you know like how the age of your clients and like what age of the kids they'd have, then that's variable. But generally like 12 to 3, because then you're going to get like 3-year-olds, 4, like even 2-year-olds. So 2s, 3s, 4s, and 5s. And then after that, the nap starts phasing out. But noon to 3 is the sweet spot.
So on the subject of nap time, Uh, Pauline and Monisha and Paul, do you guys feel like your working hours have been affected, like based on what your clients are doing or what, just with being home all the time? Do you work weird hours now? Got a no from Pauline.
Uh, no,
Oh,
I think the only thing that's changed is that it's a lot easier to get people people more flexible about times than they would have been in the past, where they've got their own kind of demanding schedule. So, whilst I'm typically doing like 9 to 5, then it's a lot easier to get people to do morning slots, say. Whereas often I'd be finding people saying, "Well, I can do 4 o'clock, or I can do, 8 o'clock in the morning." Um,
Yeah.
that,
Paul, you've got kids home too. I know they're a little bit older
you,
than mine, but how are
yeah.
they impacting your work?
So that's funny you should ask that, because today school announced that it was a day off lessons. So I was competing this morning with my son's Xbox here in my basement office. He has since retreated and hopefully gone outside. But they have a pretty good schedule, actually. So they don't need as much supervision as they probably would have done. Like they're 12 and 14, as they
Okay.
would have done like 2-3 years ago, until today. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, getting back on track to before I got sidetracked with the kid stuff. Monisha, what things do you think you'll bring forward with you with your business once things get back to some semblance of normal?
I think as far as the store, one of the things I would definitely offer a pickup and curbside service now. So you can order online and then pick up. On the business side of things, for me especially, I will do more of drop shipping. Um, One of the reasons why it will free up a lot of cash flow to do drop shipping. I would probably have order less quantities of products. And then as things are being orders or customers are placing orders, I'll do more of the drop shipping. So these are agreements that I've made with outside vendors. So as orders are being placed, outside of the quantities I have on hand, I will place orders with the vendors. So I'm not sitting on a lot of product, which is money that is sitting that could just be sitting at the time. So I really, that's one of the things that I'm definitely going to do is drop shipping. And then also, I'm sorry, I had wrote a note, and just streamlining the cost. For me, for customers, I don't think they notice as much, but as far as packaging, definitely, initially I was honestly concerned about like my cute boxes that probably like couldn't, afford as much to give out, to every single customer. But honestly, right now, customers are okay with the USPS right now. I'm just being transparent. They're okay with it as long as I have cute wrapping inside, and they just really want the goodies inside anyway. I don't think I'm noticing that things that probably either used to matter don't matter anymore, or things that matter to me don't matter to the customer. So those are ways that I'm just, trying to streamline. Of course, I'm always going to keep the quality on the product itself, but things that really, in the scheme of everything that don't matter, it's not going to matter as much anymore.
That's a
If
really
that made sense, if I made sense.
Oh no, that was perfect, because that's something I think if I'm not supposed to be answering the questions, but having so little time with the kids, like I have to really pick and choose what I'm going to do and what I'm going to work on. So every time I make a wrong decision, that is a night that I don't get any sleep. I'm like, okay, not going to do that again.
Right.
So yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up. Pauline, what do you think you will be able to bring forward with you?
I kind of hope a lot of it, business-wise, stays the way that it is. Actually, I want to keep this virtual platform going. I think it really helped me open up like a realness and a line of communication with people. So I would love to bring that moving forward. And I mean, I've been in this industry for 15 years. I've been doing this, and I've had my business for 5. So I think when I started, I even had an idea of what a designer had to be, had to look like, how I had to show up. And especially during COVID, and I mean, I might be wearing sweatpants now, I might not be, but I'm just saying that people are more comfortable with that kind of conversation. And I hope that that comfortability level moves forward, and that just as this COVID was about to take off, like I was getting much more comfortable showing up in people's homes as myself, and showing up for them virtually as myself has just pushed me in that direction. So I think this COVID has actually brought like a realness, like a life to my business.
Yeah, that's a good answer too. Paul, what have you learned that you're going to bring forward?
So I think going forward, who can exactly predict that people will be a lot more open, and I'll be a lot more open to thinking of virtual coaching as a like not a substitute, but actually kind of maybe even better in some ways. So you'll see here, I finally got my whiteboard set up behind me to use, because I'd like to kind of draw things with certain client groups, and that is actually, because it's kind of set up for me, it's not like I'm going to someone's office and setting up and kind of being at the mercy of potentially whatever set of pens they've got and all sorts of things like that. So I'm kind of hoping that continues, and that people continue to embrace it because they've learned that it works if you kind of do it right. I think the other thing goes back to something that I think Gabby said this morning about social media, and I think one of the things that I feel like I'd like to do more of is to post things, whether it be on my site or on other social media platforms, that are kind of without conditions, if you like. I think one of the things that I think some of the posts that I probably wrote when I first began were way too slanted towards, and hey, come and sign up with me, and we'll work together. And I kind of think that just putting the guidance or the advice out there is actually a kind of better way. It feels more comfortable actually to me than trying to use it as a specific, hey, here's the funnel that you need to go down next.
As a content marketer, I have mixed feelings about that. We're all about the funnel. And I also think that people are very hesitant to ask, for the sale or to tell people what to do next. And a lot of times that's okay to do.
And to be clear, I think that's about like sort of sharing knowledge. So yeah, I get that, if I'm then meeting with somebody, then I don't want to leave that kind of open-ended. I don't want to kind of where I'll get back to you. You kind of think you want to be able to kind of close out that conversation, but it's more about kind of free content, if you like, just to demonstrate, to be helpful rather than demonstrating, hey, I'm good at this, and you might want to sign up with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still mixed feelings.
Okay.
Okay. So Nick, I feel like I understand the video content and your audience and what you're putting out, but what I don't understand is the business part of it. Is it your intention to make that into a full-time thing?
Yeah, exactly. So like what I've needed most is an audience. So I'm putting everything into just building my audience right now. I'm not too worried about, I'm stable enough where I'm not in I need cash flow right now. But building it, I have a CD that I've made. I have another CD on the way. I've got a coloring book, and then I've got a lot of different ideas for certain songs that could be a storybook and a coloring book. So different products that I want to start promoting, which will just be easier if I have a wider audience. So that's stage 2. I'm in stage 1 right now. But yeah, eventually I really, really want to make a passive income, like solo business where I'm just able to make stuff. And then I really want to go on, I want to go on tour. I want to go around. That's not always the most lucrative endeavor, but it just sounds amazing to just go if I have some people that watch me in Germany, so it'd be great to go to Germany and or whatever. So that's long-term goal. So just kind of zooming back and taking it step by step.
Okay. Well, I'm ready for you to be in phase 2 because I need activities for my kids right now, and the coloring book sounds awesome.
Well, the coloring book is ready, so I just gotta it's out there. Yeah, it's on Amazon. It's a storybook coloring book that goes along with an ISS series that I made for kids. I think Astronauts in Space
Okay. By Mr. Nickles.
by Mr. Nickel, singular.
All right. I'm going to share that in the chat if anybody else wants the coloring
Yeah,
book.
I can find the Amazon link if you're.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, if you won't be distracted by sharing it, please do.
Yeah.
Okay. Whoops. Let me go back to my questions. I feel like we have covered most of my questions already. I don't want to be done because I'm having fun with this conversation, but oh, you know what? Actually, I have one more for Paul. Paul, you did a Facebook Live where you talked about navigating stressful times. Actually,
Uncertain times, I think I'd call it.
yeah. Sorry, Nick, there's a good comment for you. What Nick is doing is kind of aligned with become a quotable person for the media. Even if you can't monetize it, it may have long-term media benefits. Coming from the PR person.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, I'm sorry, Paul.
That's okay.
Uncertain times. So I know you did like a full, I think it was 15-minute discussion, but are you able to kind of distill that down for us for just like, what are your key tips if someone was in passing and they were like, what should I do to navigate this? I don't know where to start.
Absolutely. The long answer is that I actually wrote a blog after I did the Facebook video. So it's actually I think I put it on LinkedIn, but it's certainly on my On and Up coaching page. So that's the long version. I think the short version is, I think it's important to kind of diagnose where you are in all of this, because the underpinning model essentially says that I go through losses, and then I end up in a place where what was once true is no longer true, but I don't know what the new normal is. So the kind of diagnosing kind of what you feel like you lost from having to stay at home, which is clearly more for some than others, is really important. Because what happens when disruptive change happens is there's a whole psychology to it, but the impact isn't just kind of a one-time event. It kind of keeps on happening. And I think the slide that Collie had in the last presentation, where there's kind of life is linear or life is the spaghetti thing. The spaghetti thing is actually what happens to us a lot more when we're in when things change and they're very disruptive, and we're trying to orient around what's new. So there's quite a few different acronyms that are used in the piece, but the takeaway one is called CUSP, and that's essentially trying to find one of the 4 strategies that works for you to kind of help you propel yourself through the disruption more quickly. And the CUSP stands for kind of control, regaining control in some way, either creating a plan or figuring out something that you are in control of. The U stands for understanding, which is about like trying to understand more about what's going on, so that you're kind of the level of uncertainty about what's happening is minimized. S stands for support, which can either be the support of people or can be the support of things like music, for example. If that's a thing that kind of drives you, then in a time of kind of uncertainty, playing more music, if music helps you focus, is a great thing to do. The last one is P, which is purpose, which is about rediscovering or really getting back to what it is that you want to be and what you want to accomplish. And all 4 of those are potential strategies. And the idea is that you find the one that makes the most sense to you, because we all experience the losses and the uncertainty in different ways. But control, understanding, support, and finding purpose are 4 ways of doing that. And usually one works better for most people than the other 3, although all can be important. Long-winded answer, but that's the strategies, I think. Yes.
Okay.
I think-
And I found Paul's blog post and linked it in the chat if anyone wants to read the longer version of the long answer.
the very long version.
Okay, so kind of taking that same question to Monisha, do you have tips that you would give to other business owners, especially people that sell retail?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the last part.
What tips do you have that you would, so if someone was asking you for advice for their retail shop right now, what would you tell them?
I would tell them, for me, to just sit back and really take a reset. Now is the time that you can kind of explore your business, what things in the past did not do well, and just reassess what, well, I guess we don't know what the future will look like right now. But definitely, you know, I'm trying to think of the word, get your marketing game up, which is very, very important. Touching in with your customers, definitely, you know, your marketing, social media, more than anything, drop shipping. I'm telling you, that's definitely gonna save a lot for your business. Get online, for your website. It's so many different things. I'm just sorry, like I'm going back to my notes.
No, that was great.
I'm sorry.
No, that was great. You're like spouting wisdom and you don't even know it.
I'm sorry.
I said you're spouting wisdom and you don't even
Oh, okay.
like take this time to recharge and get your marketing game on point. Yes, all of the marketing
Yes, definitely.
right now.
I was one in the past didn't think how important that is, but now is the time. Like, you know, you want to speak to, because for me, I cannot. I'm not having the same interactions in person with the customers any longer, so I have to speak to the customers through the product and the descriptions of the products, as well as whether it's social media, the caption. But we have to speak in a different way than, which I think I've always been okay on social media, but definitely with my mailing list marketing. So I would say definitely get your marketing game up. Offer, definitely if you can, the curbside or pick up, where that's, keeping yourself safe at the same time and your employees, but then offering an option that's convenient for your customer. That's what I can think of right now.
Okay, so that's our advice for the retail businesses. Pauline, what advice would you give to other service-based businesses?
My advice would be to don't silo yourself. I know people are focused on physical isolation, but that doesn't mean you have to be mentally isolated. And I think now is the perfect time to continue to build, like whether it's through your marketing, like Monisha was saying, or reaching out to friends, colleagues, your customers, hopping on those Reveal Your Inner Awesome, webinars that you guys do, like building this community. And it gives you an opportunity to brainstorm. You're thinking outside of the box. You're exploring what other people are doing. You're probably going to end up being challenged to do something that you don't want to do, like I was. But it's been the greatest experience for me. And I would just say don't physically isolate, but don't mentally isolate.
Yeah, that's good too. All right, Nick, your advice for content creators and or people providing things for children, whichever way you want to go with it.
Sure. So I can do a little bit of both. So for children, it's all about like trying to really think about, like, imagine you're a kid and then this world shuts down. Like we're in like this crazy, like almost post-apocalyptic scenario, right? Like these kids are doing great. They're champions because it's like kids are just way more adaptable in some ways than grown-ups. But how do you give kids the kind of resilience to push through on this. So it's a lot like focusing a lot on emotional touch. And then I guess this gets into content stuff. So then the content stuff, what do people need right now? And a lot of people are saying like, well, people need kind of like pick me ups, and they need like positive stuff. They need like jokes. They need a lot of funny. They need a lot of distraction. Nothing like very, very light-hearted stuff. And then, yeah, and just I think people want to be inspired too. So like if you tell your story and you show like, hey, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm going through, I think people connect with that. And like just being real and just being open and honest and vulnerable, I think that's what a lot of people are doing that goes really well, is like showing that vulnerable side. Like today I was like really sick, so I just like was like, guys, I'm just not feeling well today. So like, you know, then sharing that with the kids, and because sometimes the kids are telling me too that they have a cold or something. So being vulnerable, being in that sense, and then I mean, and then there's the old tried and true for content. It's just the same thing with like anything else. It's got to be consistent. It's got to be the same quality. So like right now, like my show is at 10:30. So like parents know, like no matter what's happening, like the whole day is chaos, but like we know, like we just tune in at 10:30, then that show is going to be there. And then I've always, they went on Thursday or like Wednesday, I had an internet thing, or it was on Monday. I don't know if anyone else, but like they did like a Google update or something like that. I could not start my live stream show. I was like freaking out. But then it took me like 15 minutes to like, I had to like reinstall Chrome twice. It was nuts. And I tried two other different browsers. Nothing was working. Weird. And it's frustrating when that happens. But the 10:30 every Monday through Friday, they know it's there. So then you're reliable, right? Like, you know, like, oh, I can always count on this content being right there. And I'm doing daily stuff, but like weekly stuff. Like I've got a friend who's doing a baking show every day at 3:00. So then I know, like, I can put it in my planner, 3:00 baking show, and then I tune in and stuff like that. If anyone has questions about content strategies and stuff, that's where I'm most versed, I think.
And if anybody has other questions for the panelists too, like go ahead and unmute yourselves and ask them, or drop them in the chat. We're going to hang out for a couple more minutes, and then I think we're going to